and welcome back to the channel. My name is Taylor and welcome to part 2 of my birthday haul. So in part 1 it was all things that were not book related, and now this is the first part of books. The third part will also be books, but those all came from one specific store that I want to talk about a little bit more. So what we have here today are books that I actually bought the weekend before my birthday. Bookstores in Sioux Falls. So we have a little bit of birthday week and then birthday trip. And I'm actually going to start with the week before my birthday. First off, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more bookish and crochet content and crafting content. I am trying to expand my horizons and I'm taking you along with me for the journey. And I would love to have you come along with me. So the first book I'm going to tell you about, I actually bought at Goodwill the week of my birthday trip. I can't remember why I went. Oh, I was looking for Scooby-Doo movies. Crazy enough, no Scooby-Doo on streaming services. I'm very upset about it. Can't find Charlie Brown either, so it's fine, I guess. But because I have been more interested in getting into embroidery, I found this Reader's Digest Complete Guide to Embroidery Stitches. This clearly was at one point a library book because they like cut out where the barcode was and like blacked out on the side what library it was a part of. So it just has like, here's the feathered chain and trellis stitch, so just a bunch of different things. Because I want to get into embroidery and because Goodwill has their book set at $2.99, I thought that this might be a great kind of starting point just to try new embroidery stitches. That's all from that specific haul. And then Chad and I, after we were judging the debate tournament 2 weekends ago now, which is crazy, we had a little bit of time between the tournament and the Halloween party that we went to, so we decided to go to Half Price Books and Savers because they were, you know, close. The first two things I'll tell you about from Savers is I got Pitch Perfect 2, and it comes with a Blu-ray and a DVD. I believe Chad can play Blu-ray DVDs on his PlayStation 3, but it really doesn't matter because it comes with a regular DVD as well. And then we got Shrek because a couple months ago or something, I bought Shrek 2, and I was like, oh, well, we need the first one, obviously. So not much to say about those. I'm just like kind of building up my physical media collection. And then I actually found quite a few good books. So as you can tell, I just have been continuing with the Penguin Classics. But first I'll tell you about Hamlet by William Shakespeare, the updated edition. I actually never read Hamlet, and it's really funny when I buy these because clearly people buy them for school because they are so annotated. I don't mind that though. They don't impede my reading experience. I don't know. I think that these are really nice and they have kind of the explanation of the way that Shakespeare is talking along with the text, which is why they end up being a little chunkier. So I got that, and then I got R.K. Narayan, the Ramayana, a short and modern prose version of the Indian epic. I really didn't see, here's the thing, when I go into a thrift store and I'm like, oh my god, a black classic, I want it, unless it is absolutely decimated. Like I did see one at the Sioux Falls Savers that I was like, oh, I want that, but it was not in a good condition, so I left that one. But this one, I mean, the cover's a little bit beat up, but the book itself is fine. So on the back it says, Narayan's Ramayana is an ancient treasure to be savored as much for its wisdom, spiritual depth, and insight as for its colorful portrayal of otherworldly passion and strife. So this is, it took like an epic poem and it made it a prose version. And, you know, maybe if I read it and if I like it, maybe one day I'll read the long form Indian epic. Next is Seneca's Letters from a Stoic. So I feel like we talk about stoicism a lot and about how young men in our patriarchal society are supposed to like practice stoicism. So I wanted to pick this up to learn more about what actually it means to be a Stoic. So it has like Seneca's life, Seneca and philosophy, Seneca and literature, his letters, his style, his influence. So I just think something like this would be really interesting, just kind of, you know, getting into that philosophy aspect of things. And then this last one is definitely like the most out there. I've never heard of this. This was actually in the religion section of the Savers. So this is Soren Kierkegaard, The Sickness Unto Death. And it's basically about existentialism and about like what does life mean from what I understand. So I figure if I really just get in my feels this winter season, maybe I'll make it worse. And then we stopped at Half Price Books because my boyfriend and I have no self-control. He really likes to find like old textbooks or just, you know, science textbooks in general for his students. Then I do this thing where I've been buying classics faster than I can read them because I have to read them very slowly. First, I got William S. Burroughs' Queer, published in 1985, written in 1952. The reason why it was held off for, what, almost 30 years is because of its outspoken depiction of homosexual desire. Queer is an unflinching autobiographical self-portrait and a construing political novel, Burroughs' only realist love story, and a comic, grotesque fantasy that paved the way for his masterpiece, Naked Lunch. So I've not picked up, this is one of the Penguin Modern Classics. I don't own, this is my first one of these, and I just was like, wow, this seems really interesting. I like how big the font is, honestly. But I think that this will be really cool, nice and short little guy. I love anything with queer people. As a queer person myself, I like learning about queerness and how people experience it. Next is John Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath. I haven't read East of Eden, but I needed The Grapes of Wrath. I don't know why. So this is the Pulitzer Prize winning epic of the Great Depression, a book that galvanized and sometimes outraged millions of readers. So I remember my grandma telling me that she read this in school and she was like, I hate that book, it's an awful book, blah, 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 blah. But I've heard great things about Steinbeck and his writing. I really want to read East of Eden. I don't know which one I'll get to first. So this one was $6.99, and the last time I was actually at Half Price Books, they had another Grapes of Wrath for I think like $7.99, and the edition was, it was this same one, but it was beat to hell. Like, it was not a good looking thing. I was like, how can you get away with charging that much money? Like, I understand like these sort of books hold a little bit of value, but like look how pristine this one is. And let me tell you, that other one, I was like, I'm not spending $8 on a book that is not looking great. So I'm glad that I came across this one. And then the last one, I saw a different edition of this book. They had just revamped it for, I think it was like the 100th year or something, or 150th maybe. I was like, you know what? If it's that old, I bet they have one of these. And this was much cheaper than the new one. The new one was really cool though. But so this is Samuel Butler's Erewhon. Not the grocery store, the classic novel. So this is about a utopian society and about kind of the cracks within it. So, inspired by Samuel Butler's years in colonial New Zealand and by his reading of Darwin's original Origin of Species, Erewhon is a highly original, irreverent, and humorous satire on conventional virtues, religious hypocrisy, and the unthinking acceptance of beliefs. So this seems right up my alley. I'm very excited to hop into this, and this edition also pristine. I actually only purchased 2 books that were not secondhand when I went to Sioux Falls, and I'm very proud of that. Actually, it's kind of crazy. This was one of them. I actually don't own a copy of Frankenstein. I read it in high school and I loved it. This is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the 1818 text. I didn't realize that there were like 2 versions. One is a little bit pared down, a little bit less politically charged. That's the 1831 version. But this is the 1818 text, which apparently just has all of the rage that Mary Shelley was feeling. And I think I need that in my life. I'm definitely due for a reread of Frankenstein. The fact that I didn't have a copy of this book already, just in any edition, criminal. Criminal, because I did really like it in high school. So I'm excited to come back to this. So I bought this at Barnes & Noble. And this was the only thing I bought at Barnes & Noble too. Very proud of myself for that one. And then we went to Zanbros. So I want you to know that we didn't go to all of this in like kind of the same day. So when I say, and then we went, chronologically that's not correct, but just when we're jumping from purchases. So the other book that I bought full price was Thomas Paine's Common Sense in the American Crisis. I like pulled this off the shelf. Me and my boyfriend love Hamilton. I love the Schuyler Sisters song, and like when Angelica's like, I've been reading Common Sense by Thomas Paine. So, and I haven't read Common Sense by Thomas Paine. So how can I sing the song and not know the source material? This is ridiculous, Taylor. Common Sense was a pamphlet that was written in 1776 anonymously, 6 months before the Declaration of Independence. And this calls for the American people to revolt against the British. And it's nice and short, foundational United States, like American text. Why not? Why not have it? And then the other thing I bought at Zambros was this Color Me Comfy, a cute and stress-free coloring book. I don't have a ton of coloring books. The ones I do have, some of them are just a little bit too small. Like maybe I want to pick up some colored pencils for those. But I liked how big the spaces were in these, which is why I decided to buy it. It was only like $6 too. So I know that some people like buy just a ton of coloring books. I just thought something like this would be really cute. I don't have anything like it because I don't have a ton of coloring books. Plus, with these being so big, I wouldn't have to sit down for hours on end and color. It would just be like oh, let me sit down for like 5 minutes and color. The next two are from the Savers in Sioux Falls. So if you saw in the first vlog, I hauled some sunglasses, and then these were the two books that I got from there. These are the Folger Shakespeare updated editions of Julius Caesar and Macbeth by William Shakespeare. I actually know nothing of what Macbeth is about. I thought that it was about a woman. Apparently it's about a man. And I just know that you shouldn't speak it in the theater. I was a theater kid in high school and part of college, but why is it that the first things I found out about Macbeth were from If We Were Liars by M.L. Rio? That seems like I am not doing my homework. So I got Macbeth, and these are like really nice. This one I don't even think is annotated. This one I think is a little bit. I read Julius Caesar, I think my sophomore year of high school, and I remember nothing about it. I remember quite a bit about Romeo and Juliet. Nothing. And then the rest of everything was from Last Stop CD Shop in Sioux Falls. They actually have two locations. They have one huge location near downtown, and then they've got a smaller location near the mall. So Last Stop CD Shop is a used bookstore, CD shop, record store, DVD, vintage games. Like they have everything that you could want. And one really cool thing about them is on your birthday, or like your birthday month, you can get a free book or a DVD, or $10 off a book or DVD. So my birthday gift to myself this year, from my birthday gift from Last Stop, was $10 off this edition, this Pokemon movie collection. It has the first Pokemon the first movie, Pokemon the movie 2000, and Pokemon 3 the movie. I've definitely seen these first two. I don't know if I've seen the third one. And it's still sealed. Like, the seal is broken, but this thing is sealed. I'm so excited. I love Pokemon. I grew up loving Pokemon. So it was $14.99 originally, and I got it for $4.99. So super exciting. And the only book that is not a Penguin classic is Downtown Owl, a novel by Chuck Klosterman. So if you've been around the channel a little bit, you're like, Taylor, you DNF'd Sex, Drugs, and Cocoa Puffs by Chuck Klosterman. Why did you buy another book by him? Let me tell you. I DNF'd Sex, Drugs, and Cocoa Puffs because I am not an 80s, 90s kid. Like, I was born in 97, but like early 2000s, that's when I was a kid, right? So I didn't understand the cultural references in his other book. I also have the 90s by him. Maybe I'll understand that one a little bit more. This one is about his time living in North Dakota. So small town. Let me read you the back, because I was just like, this sounds like my kind of book. Somewhere in North Dakota, there's a town called Owl that isn't there. Disco is over, but punk never happened. They don't have cable. They don't really have pop culture, unless you count grain prices and alcoholism. People work hard and then they die. They hate the government and impregnate teenage girls. But that's not nearly as awful as it sounds. In fact, sometimes it's perfect. Chuck Klosterman's Downtown Owl is the unpretentious, darkly comedic story of how it feels to exist in a community where rural mythology and violent reality are pretty much the same thing. It's technically about certain people in a certain place at a certain time, but it's really about a problem. And the problem is, what does it mean to be a normal person? And there is no answer. But in Downtown Owl, what matters more is how you ask the question. Like, this sounds like it could sum up my years in South Dakota, and I'm really excited about this one. I was really going back and forth. I'm like, do I really want to like take a chance on this author again? Yeah, I liked his essays. I just didn't understand them. I think that he's got this dry wit about his writing that I was very drawn to. I think this is going to be the one. This is gonna be the one. So then the other books I got from there are Adam Smith, The Wealth of Nations, 4 and 5. So they had The Wealth of Nations 1 through 3, but I wanted it in this edition. So I was like, you know what? One day I'll find 1 through 3. Or I'll buy it if I'm like, yeah, it's time. But you know what? I know it's gonna take me a while to get to this, and that's okay. What encourages the progress of population and improvement encourages that of real wealth and greatness. In the first 3 volumes of his seminal work, The Wealth of Nations, Adam Smith argued that division of labor is the key to greater economic growth. Volume 4 is an incisive examination of the mercantile system and in particular British colonial's relationship with America, in which he suggests that the economic regulations should be strictly limited and that a laissez-faire approach and free trade are essential to a successful economy. So just like economic philosophy, essentially. Next is Benjamin Franklin, the autobiography and other writings. Benjamin Franklin was the only person to sign all 4 major documents of the founding of the United States: Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, Treaty Alliance with France, and the Treaty of Peace with England. So, I mean, clearly this guy was around. So I think just learning more about him might be kind of cool. And then this last one, Wallace Stanger and Paige Stanger's American Places. This is the one, because, I mean, I know that I buy a lot of Black classics, but I only buy ones that I truly am interested in. There are ones that I leave on the shelf. I don't think I left any at this particular location, but at the second location, there was definitely somewhere I was like, you know what? That's not it. This one I almost left, and I'm really glad I didn't, because I think that I'm really gonna like this. So on the back it says, precise, to the point, packed with useful information, infused with that love for our land and its honest workers, which is the highest form, perhaps the only form, of patriotism. That's a quote from Edward Abbey, and I think that's supposed to be like in praise of this book. So I had a hard time understanding what this exactly was, so I read part of the introduction. So in the foreword it says, in the dust where we have buried the silent races and their abominations, we have buried so much of the delicate magic of life. That's a quote by D.H. Lawrence. It is necessary to say what this book is and what it is not. It is not another book of natural wonders, though some of the country it deals with is wonderful, not simply a work of history, and not simply a collection of personal experiences, though it contains some of both. And it makes no effort to cover all the regions, topographies, climates, corners, coasts, boundaries, rivers, and lakes of the North American continent. The plan for this book came from Jack McCrae, the book's editor and publisher. The idea was to create a book about North America's human and natural history with a decidedly personal touch. So I think that this will be very interesting. I think this will be unlike other things that I have read. And then the last 2 books I have were from the other location of Last Stop near the mall. So I have Letters from Abelard and Heloise. The story of the relationship between Abelard and Heloise is one of the world's most celebrated and tragic love affairs. It is told through letters of Peter Abelard, a French philosopher and one of the greatest logicians of the 12th century, and of his gifted pupil Heloise. Through their impassioned writing unfolds the story of a romance from its reckless, ecstatic beginnings to public scandal and enforced marriage and its devastating consequences. So I really didn't know a ton about this before I picked this up, but I think this would be really cool. You know, just a love story told through letters. Can't really go wrong with that, right? And then the last book for this haul is Thomas More's utopia. It gives us a traveler's account of a newly discovered island where the inhabitants enjoy a social order based on natural reason and justice, and human fulfillment is open to all. As the traveler Raphael describes the island to Moore, a bitter contrast is drawn between this rational society and the custom-driven practices of Europe. Clearly, like, if we look at this cover, it's kind of giving what I imagine like the Aztecs or the Mayan looks like pyramids and stuff look like. So I wonder if it's a critique on the way that these ancient societies lived versus England. That's kind of what I'm getting from it. That doesn't mean that I'm right. Okay, that was a lot of books. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below if any of these books interested you. I'm excited about all of these, but really I'm so excited about Downtown Owl. I really think that I'm going to read that. I think that it'll be the perfect winter book, like critiquing small towns. Maybe I'm in like a bar, like a dive bar that has Christmas lights up. Oh, I'm imagining it in my head. I don't know where a dive bar is, but I'm gonna find one. Oh, thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.